a comment from Hutton Henry. He says, can you ever have too much motivation? Can you ever be too motivated? Can you ever have too much motivation? I think he quotes the David Goggins, the Can't Hurt Me book. He's a huge motivational speaker as well. I guess he's asking if it can be taken too far.
So I've listened to Goggins, and I'm not going to fight him. I mean, there's just no way. But I think it could be misdirected motivation. And one of the questions, like when we say you want to set a goal, one of the questions that we filter it through, is it morally fair and right to everyone involved? Okay. So if you have a family and your goal and you run a business and your goal is to be a world-class triathlete, what do you want for your family? I mean, Steve, you know how much training it takes and how much competition. So if your business is taking 60 or 70 hours a week and you might have travel and you want to be a world-class triathlete, you can kiss your family goodbye. Because so motivation or a desire to do something has consequence. And so you've got to, that's why we teach balanced life: mental, spiritual, physical, family, financial, personal, and career. And so you've got to have specific goals and objectives in each of those 7 areas. And when something becomes dominant, it's going to take away from those other areas. And you've got to decide, is that consequence
worth it?
One of my friends was, he's a psychiatrist, and a guy came to him who's a workaholic. He was working 20 hours a day. And he said, I need to get out of this. Haven't seen my son really in months. His son was 10. So they said, well, we're going to start. His birthday's coming up. You're going to his party. Well, he comes in after. He says, how was the party? And he said, I couldn't go. I was working. And he looks at him and he says, when are you going to tell your son? And he says, what do you mean? He says, when are you going to tell your son that your work is more important than he is?
That's super, super tricky though, right? Because of course, everything has an opportunity cost, the yin and yang, right? But those people that have achieved greatness in their life, in their career or whatever it is, at some point, I guess they've had to sacrifice or been out of balance at times, would be my sense. Would you agree? Like Steve Jobs growing Apple, or any of the, very successful people, I imagine at points they've had to really make that judgment call for a period.
It's why we really focus on balanced success. And having success in all areas of life. There's a attorney group and that puts radio ads, and they say, hey, we specialize in divorce and we represent men. And then they go on to say, you sacrificed your health and your family to make money, and now you've lost your family and your health. Right. And so there's a trade-off on everything.
Yeah.
And so there's also a long-term trade-off, though, is different than a season of out of sorts, right? Because we all have seasons where we need to focus on something and other things get put to the side a little bit. And that's why we recommend doing a self-assessment every 3 to 6 months to see where you're out of balance, because if something continues to be out of balance, the consequences are going to be big. So you've got to choose to bring it back into balance.
I like that concept of seasons, and I'm sure, in a little bit like, ebbing and flowing of motivation, be it in the day or in a project or a certain area of your life, I guess. There is a seasonal element to it, like a physical seasonal element as well, right? There's so many factors that affect that.